Support for Comics for Fun and Profit is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate in men's hygiene. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code C4FAP at manscaped.com. I've been with Manscaped since the 1.0, and now we're on the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is the future of grooming, and I dare say the greatest trimmer ever. The fourth generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproofed and also has an LED spotlight for more precision shaving. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code C4FAP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the code C4FAP. That's the letter C, the number 4, FAP at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Aloha, this is Jason from Hawaii. Welcome to a special edition of the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast. In this episode, I am welcoming back a friend of the show, Erik Burnham. He is here to talk about his new limited series, G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures. Issue 1 is already out in stores. Issue 2 comes out on March 23rd. Also, I'm going to be talking to Erik about the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie. So listeners, please note that, if you haven't seen the movie, we're going to talk about spoilers. And I'm hoping to, and I'm going to also talk to Erik about one of his books that he did recently. It's called One is Downside, Not Far, Just Down. And also I'm going to leave it open to Erik if he wants to talk about any future projects he has coming up. So, Erik, how are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back.
Oh.
Thank you again for having me.
No, Erik, like I said, thank you very much for coming back. Just thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a new listener to the show and want to know a little bit more about Erik, please check out the Comics for Fun and Profit podcast episode 638 that came out last year on May 9th, 2021. Okay, so Erik, before we start jumping into everything, where can listeners follow you on social media?
Okay, well, Twitter and Instagram, you can find me at Erik Burnham, which is my name, E-R-I-K, Burnham. Super easy. And my website is burnhamania.com, which is the last name plus A-N-I-A. Nice little portmanteau I put together so long ago. I probably should have gotten rid of it a long time ago, but my ericburnham.com wasn't available at the time. So I went crazy. Anyway, those are the easy places to find me. I should probably get a link tree up or something like that. Would be easier, huh?
Yeah, that's all right. All right. So, Erik, we're just going to jump right in. We're going to start talking about G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures. Now,
yes.
Before I start asking you, I'm going to just ask you, how awesome was it to get this gig? Or actually, before I asked it,
sure.
Before we talk about that, I'm sorry, I missed this question. Did you and your brothers watch the cartoons growing up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. They were on every day after school, and I know everybody has brought up, why is it called Saturday Morning Adventures? It was on an after school. It was a weekday show. Well, there was a couple of reasons. One, I think IDW is planning to use Saturday Morning Adventures for other comics that taken from cartoons in the similar matter to this. So it's a little bit of a brand.
Yes.
Also, I think Saturday Morning Adventures sounds better than syndicated weekday afternoon adventures.
Yes.
Little slicker, rolls off the tongue better.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we did. We watched them. I was not allowed to have the G.I. Joe toys because my brother got to them first. He picked them. I had Transformers. I had, He-Man. I had other stuff, but he had G.I. Joe. But we watched the show, and we always got kind of a kick out of it. And I do remember to this day, every once in a while, the cartoon would throw a curveball that was so weird. Even I, elementary school, watching it going, wait, what? I mean, Egyptian gods, pardon me. So, I mean, yeah, but it was a fun watch, and I always got a kick out of it. And, it aided my brother playing with his toys, so he loved watching it. So, yeah, we watched it.
All right. Sorry, off the cuff question. I'm going to ask your brother, does he have maybe like one or two of those figures still now? Did he hang on to any of the original figures?
They are, gosh, it's entirely possible that they are in a sealed box somewhere at our parents' house.
Yeah.
And they were played with hard, so I I don't know. I do remember getting in trouble. I took one of his figures once. They had the little, the G.I. Joes had the little rubber band holding the tops and the bottoms together.
Yes.
And I was just like, well, look at this. Look at this. It like ricochets if you snap. Oh, crap. And his I think it was Airtight was the figure. He all of a sudden came in two parts. So I had to save up money and replace his figure. And more of them are in that condition than not, but that one I remember particularly because I had to replace it.
No, but I know because I know what you mean, because I have just a handful of those original action figures, and I want to say probably 10 years ago. I can't remember. It was a while ago, but I remember one of the G.I. Joes, I can't remember. He was the guy who was always in the winter thing. He had the skis and all the accessories. And I remember I went through the action figures, and I was like, oh, look, this is pretty cool. He's still taking, and then it just broke in my hand because after all those years, the rubber just dries out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I know what you're talking about. All right. Now I'm going to jump right in. So, how did you get this awesome gig?
Okay, well, it's a kind of a confluence of things. First off, excuse me, Dan Schoening, who I've worked with for many years, he started in animation, and he can nail anything that has a good design. If he can get a design sheet, he can nail the design. He is just amazing with that. And like I said, he came from animation, so animated designs are his specialty. Nails the stuff dead on. The first time we did that was when we did the Ghostbusters and real Ghostbusters team up. He nailed the real Ghostbusters, and that was, that started seeding the idea in Tom Waltz's, our editor's head. Later on, a few years later, we did a Transformers and Ghostbusters crossover, and Dan used for his models the 1984 animated Transformers. And that's at the point when Tom said, okay, no, we've got to do a G.I. Joe book. Initially, he was thinking maybe we'd do a G.I. Joe and Transformers book.
Yes.
But Hasbro said no at the time. They had, it was one of those things where they had plans for something else. Whether the plans fell through or not, at the time, they didn't want anybody else encroaching on whatever idea they had at the time. Could have been a toy line, could have been an animated movie, but they just said, hold off, don't do a crossover. But you can do an animated, Transformers or G.I. Joe. So Tom said, all right, we're going to do a G.I. Joe. And I had the G.I. Joe Transformers thing all plotted out, and it was beyond bonkers. I mean, I threw every little bit of weirdness in there, and he said, okay, no, you can't do any of that stuff. You can't use the Transformers, come up with something different. And then I did, and then it was, months and months of waiting because, waiting for Dan to finish drawing the project he was on, so he could make time to do this, because I mean, him and Luis Delgado, they are the stars of the show. Anybody could probably write a serviceable Sunbow G.I. Joe, but not every artist can make it look just like, a screen capture of the cartoon. Yeah. So we were waiting on them, and that's kind of what took so long.
Oh, okay. Now, I know you meant, you were talking about the cartoons and how sometimes it just took these weird turns, and and then like you mentioned about the Egyptian gods and so forth. Because I read the first issue, and I'm just gonna ask you, how did you come up with this amazing first issue? I love the first issue.
Well, thanks. And it really was exactly that. It was the Egyptian gods episode. I was watching some old episodes of G.I. Joe to, prepare to write this. And I saw that one. I said, that's just so weird. And it opens up the kind of stuff that I can, get away with in this miniseries.
Yes.
And there's a lot of science fiction stuff. And I know I've heard a couple of podcasts and seen a couple of reviews saying they wish that we would have done more sci-fi, more of a sci-fi based plot. I get that. Yeah. But I'm not going to come up with something better than like the Mass Device or the Weather Dominator or some of the other sci-fi concepts they had. Mm-hmm. And I, comics can get away with some weird stuff too. So, I figured Dan would have fun drawing a genie. Let's throw a genie in. They haven't done this. I know they haven't done this in the cartoon, so it's not going to be something that people go, well, they already did this, and it's not as good as the cartoon. So, it was just one of those things, and it felt right, and it felt fun, and I knew Dan would draw the hell out of it. So that's kind of why we went with the genie.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, because all throughout this podcast, I'm going to keep saying I love that first issue.
Well, thanks. I'm hoping the rest of them get as good a reaction as the first one. Because,
when and you just start off with a bang. Cobra Commander finds the Aladdin's lamp, and the genie comes out, and but the genie. And I'm not gonna try to spoil too much in this issue, but the genie seems like he's playing a role in this too, because there's that one panel I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, and I also got to comment on Dan's artwork, because you saw my notes. I mean, it's like I was, like I'm really, it's like, it brought me back to the days when I was watching G.I. Joe, but the thing is, just reading the comic, it's more of a high definition cartoon. It's great. I love it, Okay.
Yeah, like I said, Dan's specialty. You throw him anything animated and he's going to nail it.
Okay, so I know that you said that you and Tom are waiting for Dan to finish one project before he started on the G.I. Joe limited series with you. I'm kind of adjusting one of my questions. So when Tom said, "Hey, let's do a G.I. Joe," comic, did he pair you up with Dan, or did you say, hey, maybe Dan would be good? Or
no, he knew he was going to have us do this from go. He knew that we were going to work together.
Okay.
So we work well together, and we work well on this kind of stuff. So it was even if I hadn't been involved, he definitely would have been using Dan and Luis. Okay. So yeah, absolutely. But we enjoy working together. I mean, I hope they enjoy working with me. but yeah, no. So it was definitely, for as long as we thought about going back to G.I. Joe, going back to Transformers and Ghostbusters back in 2019. Yeah, no, we planned on doing this at some point. It just kind of took longer than anybody figured it would.
Okay, so I'm just gonna if there's any new listeners or anyone new to comics, Erik and Dan, they have a long work history. Erik and Dan, as Erik has mentioned, they've worked on Ghostbusters, and also Erik and Dan also did the Godzilla limited series that came out last year. So if you guys get a chance, check out their past works. Now, Erik, I'm joking on this part. Okay, when you got this cool job, did you ask for any little bonuses? Hey, can I get a little extra money so I can buy the G.I. Joe cartoon series in Blu-ray just to do research?
They're too smart for me. They would have said, it's on Tubi. Why don't you just go ahead and watch that, and we'll keep our money. But no, seriously, no, I never think to do something like that. I probably should. I wish I was smart enough to think to ask for bonus stuff, but no, it didn't occur to me, and that's on me.
No. Wait, yeah, like I said, I'm just joking.
No, I know you're joking, but still, I thought it through. Why don't I ever ask for perks, man? What's wrong with me?
All right. One other perk. I'm just joking on this part too. One of the other perks. Did you ever ask them to, hey, can you guys buy me certain action figures because I need to see how Cobra Commander stands under certain lights, and if I have to write the script to Dan to make sure the lighting's captured perfectly, anything like that.
Oh gosh, yeah. See, yeah, no. Dan could get away with this. I should have told him. I said, Dan, ask for it, and then when you're done. Oh, but yeah. No, I wish. I truly do. I truly wish I had thought to ask for some of the stuff over the years from people. It's just, I mean, I like I said, joke or not, I'm just like, why didn't I ever ask for something cool, man? What the heck?
All right. Now, okay, so I'm going to kind of be a little kind of serious, but we know that unfortunately and like you mentioned in one of your Twitter feeds that that it's a business side, but we know that everyone knows that the Transformers and the G.I. Joe license is going to, correct me if I'm wrong, Skybound, right?
I hadn't heard officially.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I heard that rumor, but I couldn't say yes or no with concrete knowledge.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's kind of like but we know that that IDW will no longer have the license to these licensed properties.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to ask you, what were some of the fun things you like working on the Transformers series? Oh, and I forgot to mention that you also work on the Transformers series as well too.
Oh yeah. Beast Wars. I mean, Beast Wars, they just gave me so much leeway to do both different things and the same things in slightly different ways. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I had a lot of fun with Beast Wars and the latitude they gave me. The only downside, of course, is we had a bunch of other stuff that we would have loved to do and were setting up to do and had to wrap up sooner than we had intended. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's always a bummer, but on the other hand, it's also something that you got to expect. Even taking licensed properties out of the equation, sometimes the decision for whatever reason, from sales to somebody in editorial just doesn't like the book, and any number of reasons why a book gets canceled. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to be ready to wrap things up. So it was the case with this, and licensed properties change all the time. IDW had Transformers and G.I. Joe for a very long time, so people don't think that they don't think about it as something that moves easily, but it does. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And things also move back. I mean, Marvel had Conan, they lost Conan, they got Conan back. Dark Horse had Star Wars, they lost Star Wars, they're going to be doing Star Wars again here pretty quick. So it's musical chairs, and there's no animosity, there's no frustration. It's just, well, why don't we try that? It's in many ways, it's a lot like, let's do a reboot of the series. Let's do a new number one. Let's try a new creative team. It's just another thing. Let's try a new publisher. They have something there. It'll get attention just because it's different.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Hasbro is about Hasbro's properties, and bringing in more money and doing something different will generally bring more money. So I get it. And there's, everybody, it's disappointing for the folks working on the books now, but mm-hmm. No animosity.
Yeah. And, and I'm going to ask you, like, for me and for the listeners, mm-hmm. Like you mentioned, you worked on Beast Wars. What is one storyline that you wrote that you're proud of? What is one storyline that you would recommend to me and the listeners to check out?
It's tricky because the thing that I'm proudest of kind of weaves in and out of other storylines. Mm-hmm. And that was it's a turtle character, Scold. Coming out of her shell is the terrible pun, but she is, throughout the course of the first 11 issues, 10 issues of the book, she's bullied by another evil, robot, Predacon. And finally, she's just had enough. He kills somebody that she was friends with, and she's had enough of him, and he's done.
Mhm.
So it was just the build up to that I had meant it to take a little bit longer than 11 issues, but that's where we had to slot it in.
Mhm.
That's probably one of the ones, but I mean, that doesn't answer, that's not a specific story. Maybe I guess the easiest thing would probably be the first the first 6 issues tells a complete story. Then
Mhm.
and then we have a 2-issue story, a 1-issue story, and a 3-issue story. So they're all. I guess start with the beginning. Go with the first trade. That's easy to get into. It's easy to understand, and yeah, I guess just start at the beginning, and then everything else there is kind of shaded based on what's in that first book. So.
Oh, okay. All right. No, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you for the recommendation. All right. I'm going to move on to the movie Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Mhm.
Now, I want to set this up for listeners. Again, there will be spoilers. I'm going to be honest, I have not seen the movie. I finally bought the digital copy
Mhm.
last week. It was on sale on one of the digital platforms. And, I just need to find some time to watch it.
Mhm.
And I know the spoilers because, because I haven't been back to the theaters on a regular basis since this whole pandemic began. So I knew
Yeah.
all the spoilers. So
Mhm.
I'm going to ask, did you see the movie?
I did see the movie. Yes.
And then what did you think?
You know what? I really loved it, and I was a mark for it. I knew I was going to love it. I watched it, and because I'd been working on the book and the characters so long, there were some times where I went, "Ooh, I would have done it differently."
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that's natural. I don't want it to sound like I'm saying, "Well, I could have done a better job than Jason Reitman." No. I just, I had those twinges of I would have spun this joke differently, and it's a reflex. I can't help it. But I loved the movie. I enjoyed what they did. I enjoyed that it had heart to it. I really
Mhm.
liked that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And then since we're kind of sort of a little bit on the topic, you know, are you guys gonna try to? Will there be a new Ghostbusters comic series from you and Dan in the future?
Maybe.
Okay.
I honestly can't say yes or no for sure, because that is it's above my pay grade. I will be ready to do another series when they say go. They just haven't said go yet. A whole bunch of things have gotten in the way of a new book
Mhm.
coming out, um, from the delays from the pandemic to the delays on the movie to just waiting for somebody to decide that it was time to start working on, you know, making it all come together.
Mhm.
And so uh, as soon as they say yes, start, go,
Mhm.
I'll be ready to do it.
So
And excuse me, I hit a little hiccup there, but yeah, no, I mean, I can't really say anything more one way or the other because beyond speculation, beyond what I do know or what I don't know, I don't want anybody thinking the wrong thing. I don't want Sony or IDW to think I'm talking out of school. So
yeah,
I'll say maybe, and if it doesn't happen, then
yeah.
it's a bummer and it doesn't happen. But if it does, hey, cool. I'm excited to work on it. So yeah, so maybe is the best answer I can give.
So and I'm gonna say I'm gonna throw this in, Eric. For
Mhm.
me because preparing for last year's interview, I remember, and I'm recommending to listeners. I picked up the trade Ghostbusters. Everyone answers a call.
Mhm.
If for new listeners who want to check out Eric's work on Ghostbusters, I picked that up. I love the trade. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So for new comic book readers who want to check out the Ghostbusters, I would recommend you guys check that out. The other key thing too with Dan's artwork, he drops little Easter eggs here and there.
So many. I tell you, I was just going over um, some of the older issues
Mhm,
recently, rereading them. I haven't reread them in 10 years.
mhm.
I'm finding stuff that I still didn't know was there. So he hides stuff so well, and there's so much of it. So yeah, no, you'll have plenty of time finding stuff.
um, yeah, because and no, but it's like I think it's great. It really is. Um, okay, so move on to some of your future projects. So
Mhm.
when I was writing the questions and so forth, I came across this on your Twitter page. Now, it's a book that came out recently called Downside, Not Far, Just Down.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
before I start asking you questions, um, this is you get those what praises or things on the
Mhm,
back part of the book. Now,
mhm.
this is what was written on the book, and Eric, you know this already. So
Oh yeah.
why is Eric doing this when he could be writing more licensed comics for actual money?
Yes.
From Erica Schultz. She's the writer of Forgotten Home, from
Mhm.
coming out soon from Dark Horse, Bylines in Blood, and The Deadliest Bouquet.
Yeah, yeah. She was. It's a silly pull quote because it's a silly book. I mean, the other one on there was from my friend Evan Shaner, who basically quoted, "Ah, no," and that was his reaction to one of the puns in the book. And I said, "I'm going to put that on the back." He goes, "Oh, I dare you." So I put it on the back. But what this is, it's just I have a Patreon and I put up 2 comics a week.
Okay.
And I've tried different formats, and what I wound up with is a square format, and I put it together in this book. So yeah, it's just a year and a half worth of comic strips that I did on the side
Mm-hmm.
for fun that I put up on my Patreon, and there's a lot of puns, there's pop culture stuff. I mean, there's more stuff, not just on the Patreon. I also put it up. Downsidecomics.com, Downside Comics Twitter, Downside Comics Instagram. I also put the comic strips up there. So, I mean, you don't have to pay. And I put some stuff on the online sites that I didn't necessarily put in the book. Some of the more pop culture puns, more blatant, I guess, Darth Vader in a cowboy hat kind of a thing, But I just, yeah, no, they're silly jokes, and I mean, ridiculous things that occur to me, and I just put it together. Why I did it the way I did, print on demand on Amazon, is because I've been so busy. There is no way on earth I could ever do a Kickstarter and handle the fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
So I just figured, okay, I'll put it on. People can get it on Kindle. They can get a print copy. The only downside, pun noted, is that the printing is a little uneven. Sometimes it looks absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, deep blacks, and sometimes it's a little faded, and you never know which one you're going to get. So that's kind of frustrated me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But 90% of the time, the book looks pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, I mean, yeah, it's just a little bit of weirdness. It's the type of stuff that I don't necessarily ever have a chance to get in comics because the editors will stop me from putting in these kind of jokes.
Yeah.
One of the ones that Tom Waltz, the Ghostbusters editor, he wrote me after he saw it and just said, why did you do this? And it was I put it at a comic convention, and there was a Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, he has the bag, he's got the lanyard, and he's looking at 3 other cosplayers who are dressed like members of the A-Team. There's a BA, there's a Murdoch, and there's a Hannibal. And Darth Vader is saying, "I find your lack of face disturbing." So that's the one that got Tom. He said, why would you do this? And I mean, those are the kind of just terrible dad jokes that I put in the book. So I mean, yeah, and it's yeah, it's my kind of fun. That's kind of nonsense that nobody else is going to pay me to do, so I'm going to do it for myself. Yeah,
So
that's summing it up.
so I'm gonna off off the cuff question, because I kind of know a little bit about your background, but in case for new listeners, now you're also an artist too, correct? Because
I'm a little rusty, but yeah, I did start out writing and drawing my own stories, and I found that I've preferred letting other people draw them. But if push comes to shove,
Mm-hmm.
give me enough time, and I can do a story. Yeah.
One character I want to ask you about, because I'm going to say this book sounds just right for me.
Mm-hmm.
But one character I want to ask you about, because I just thought it was the funniest one.
Mm-hmm.
Ted, the
Mm-hmm.
unemployed Grim Reaper.
Yes. Well, see, okay, so initially the downside started, and I should explain the title real quick. It doesn't have anything to do with Gary Larson's Far Side, which is why I added the not far, just down. It's kind of a nod to Spaceballs, to Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
You know, there's two sides to every Schwartz. He got the upside, I got the downside. So that's where I got that from. And so yeah, no, initially it was just a comic strip. It was just a daily comic strip that I did until I found that I couldn't keep up with the daily comic strip working a full-time job at the time. And it took place at an apartment complex. There was Paul and his brother Joey. They were two characters, and they pop up in the new book as well, Paul and Joey. And there was other people who lived at the apartment complex, and one of them was a Grim Reaper, and he was unemployed because his bosses were just looking for, a new image. So he was let go. And so the entirety of it is just the Grim Reaper being unemployed and bored and doing ridiculous stuff. And that's I don't know why I started drawing a Grim Reaper, but once I started putting him into the comic strips, I looked for a backstory, and well, I guess he's unemployed. That's why he's there all the time. And it just went from there. The silliness of it. His name is Ted because that was my grandpa's name. And Ted just sounds like a funny name for a Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And yeah, no, I just it's funny to see the Grim Reaper interacting weirdly with another character. And then, after I do this comic strip for a couple of years, I see that Family Guy is doing the same thing. I'm like, well, crap. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to do it. Yeah. I mean, for all I know, they could have Seth MacFarlane could have got the inspiration from one of Jim Carrey's first movies where he plays the Grim Reaper, who is stalking a guy all day long. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come in and kill you. And then the guy is such a jerk that he says, he sends him back to Earth, says, I'm not going back for him. He's mean, but it's just absolutely a ridiculous movie. And I can't even remember the title of it, but it's difficult. It's probably on YouTube. So yeah. Jim Carrey, Grim Reaper, people will be able to find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
All right. I'm going to, the next question I'm going to ask, I'm just asking, do you have any future projects you can talk about right now?
Yes. One just got announced this week. I'm working on three other comic series right now that I can't talk about because they haven't been announced, but I am busy. I just announced this week that Inside Editions is doing an official Ghostbusters cookbook, and I contributed to that. Obviously, none of the recipes. That's Jen Fujikawa wrote the recipes. They're fantastic. I've seen them. Mm-hmm. I've thought about cooking a couple of them, but I haven't gotten to the nerve up to some of the more fun ones. Mm-hmm. But no, there's some great recipes in there. What I did was I came up with a way to have the characters hopefully believably introduce the recipes. I don't want to explain how that's done. I want it to be kind of a surprise. I'm also not sure if I'm supposed to explain how it's done. Mm-hmm. But the characters, it's an in-universe cookbook. So, the world that the Ghostbusters are from could conceivably find this cookbook on the shelves. And, the explanations in there are from various characters from the Ghostbusters universe, including Egon. I found a way to get Egon in there as well. So it's... I believe it's coming out the end of September.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really great.
Yeah. It was a fun project to work on.
Okay. Okay, so Erik, I'm going to slowly start wrapping things up.
Sure.
So either your next convention or store signing appearance. When you have anything set up in the future?
Nothing concrete. I'm pretty sure if things go to plan that I'll be at San Diego this summer, unless something falls through. I should be there for that. But beyond that, I haven't lined anything up. I just haven't. Nobody's reached out, and I haven't reached out. I've been fine just letting things stay calm.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of miss getting out and about. So you know, maybe sometime this year I'll pick something up off the cuff. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm I'm gonna ask this one question. Like I know you say you know besides maybe San Diego, and that's pretty much it. But are you when conventions start normally being scheduled again, and hopefully past this pandemic, you know, what is one of the things that you would look forward to going back to cons again?
Oh boy, you know, I like talking comics with people. I like seeing other creators that I only get to talk to on the internet, other fans that I only get to talk to on the internet. I live in an area where the nearest comic shop is 100 miles away,
Oh God.
and the comic shop that it's a smaller comic shop. The nearest bigger comic shop is about 2.5 hour drive each
Mhm.
way. So it's a haul to get comics, and you know, so I look forward to being able to be in the environment where there are other people who geek out about the same stuff and being able to talk to them and interact with them about all this stuff without having to explain what it is,
Mhm.
and why I'm getting a kick out of it. Not having to type anything, just being able to, you know, jabber on. I'm looking forward to that. You know, just going out for a meal with folks who love the same stuff and catching up. And it's just, you know, the environment is a big part of it, because obviously I can text, I can phone call, I can Zoom,
Mhm.
but you know, there's something just about, you know, getting to hang out and be in the presence of and chat with other folks that I've missed. And I'm sure a lot of people have missed, but yeah, that's what I'm looking forward most to getting back to.
Okay. Now, my final question is, what is the most fun or awesome thing you love working in comics?
I I just like being able to straight have fun and inject humor in places where humor might not be expected,
Mhm.
which is a weird way of phrasing it. But I mean, I just, you know, I have fun finding that perfect turn of dialogue for a character. You know, the kind of go, oh yes, yes, this is perfect. I can't believe I didn't think of this before, and writing it down and having it affixed and getting it through. Little things like that, or the perfect action scene for the artist to draw, or the perfect, you know, whatever. I just I have fun getting through the process and finding the joy in the story and getting it on the page. I mean, I just love making comics. I love the entirety of the process. Maybe not paying taxes for the stories I've written, but I mean every other part of the process I enjoy,
Mhm.
and it's yeah, I mean it's just awesome top to bottom, and I have fun doing it.
Wow. Eric, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was great. Um, so Eric, you know, Eric, mahalo. Thank you for your time. You know, thank you for coming back on the show. You know, like I
Like I
said,
said, Ben, anytime, happy to come back.
and this is great talking to you, especially. Oh man, the GI Joe Adventures. That is great. It is. So yeah. Um, so you know, I want to wish you and Dan all the success for the GI Joe Saturday Morning Adventures, and also the success for your new book, Downside, Not Far, Just Down.
Mhm.
And I'm going to pick up that book and it's on Amazon, correct? Through Amazon.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's exclusive to Amazon. It's just
Oh,
you know, I threw it up on the it's their print on demand. So I mean, it's the only place you can get it, but it's there. It's easily available.
all right, no, but because it's that book sounds perfectly for me. And also, too, I wish you success for the cookbook that you're that you worked on that's coming out in September. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So, oh, yes. Now, for our listeners, you know, if you are a new comic book fan or a lifelong comic book fan, please check out G.I. Joe Saturday Morning Adventures. Issue 2 comes out on March 23rd. And if you guys get a chance, pick up a copy of Eric's book, Downside, Not Far, Just Down, that is available on order through Amazon. And also keep an eye out for the cookbook. And Dan, again, Eric. Eric, again, what's the name of the cookbook again? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just straight up the official Ghostbusters cookbook. It's coming out through Insight Editions, and yeah, no, you can find it Well, anywhere you get a book, you can find it up for pre-order right now.
Okay. All right. Now I also want to thank Drew, the co-host of Comics for Fun and Profit. Drew, thank you very much for all your hard work behind the scenes. Thank you very much. And if you are a new listener, please check out new episodes of Comics for Fun and Profit that comes out every Saturday. And I want to thank you, the listeners. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, guys. Aloha.
Join our Patreon page at patreon.com/comics for fun and profit. Why, you ask? Well, because we are on episode 700 and something, and we've been cranking these out for a decade for you. So, hey, support us. Throw us a shekel or two. Toss $1 our way. Toss $3 our way. Toss 5 or 10. Your choice. You can support us at any level, and that level gets you in our Slack channel. You get to be a part of our daily conversations that extend beyond our weekly podcast. You get entered into contests. We've given away multiple 9.8 slabbed comics over the years. We enjoy providing early access to our various episodes. We have exclusive access to shows that never see the light of day elsewhere. Video shows, review shows, exclusive episodes just for our patrons. Access to Drew's comic project. Really more of a curse and a burden for patrons, but you get to see my fledgling attempts at making comics, panel pages, process stuff, even signed and remark original prints if you want. I can hook you up with that sort of thing. So there's tons of reasons to join Patreon. If you like what we're doing and you want to help us out, server costs ain't cheap. Kyle and I have been doing this, like I said, for 10 years. We love it, but we could always use a little motivation. A little something, a little wet our whistle, a little something to give us a taste. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/comicsfunprofit.